So you've just wipe coded your application. It looks amazing, everything works, and you're about to launch it. There is a very good chance of your API key sitting in your code right now, and that's just one of the 5 problems that I literally keep seeing in every wipe coded app I review. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 mistakes that every wipe coder does. Let's start. Okay, so right now I'm inside my Visual Studio Code, and as you can see, we have files named .env. So these files start with a dot. If I open this file, you'll see that we'll have to add our API keys inside. Right now, I don't have any API keys here because I don't actually want to lose them. But anyway, you can see that we have .env, .env, .example, .gitignore. So if I open the folder inside my file explorer in my Windows, you'll actually see here that I am not able to see the .env files here. But if I open it inside my Visual Studio Code, I'm like able to view the .env, .env, .example, .gitignore. The reason is because nobody wants to expose their API keys, which actually exists inside the .env files. Okay, so if you're thinking that Ali, why do we use env? What does env stand for? So it's basically a term you can use .anything, .passwords, .something, whatever you want to use. So .env is just a standard that everybody is using in this industry. So that is what I'll be using in this video. Right now, I'm actually not able to see the files, the .env, the .ignore, all the files that were starting from dot. If you want to view them, just click on these 3 dots, click on options, and from here, let's go to view and let's change the hidden files and folders to show hidden files. Click on apply, and now you can see the .env, .example, .gitignore file. So these basically have all of our API keys. Let's go back to my Visual Studio Code and let me explain you why do we use .gitignore, and inside our .gitignore, why do we have .env, .env local, .env production, .env stage. So let's start by .env file. Let's say we're using an API key of open AI, which let's say is 1234, something like a very long number. Now, if we were to use it manually, we will always have to like add the API key inside our code. So let me open a code base. Don't worry, I'm not going to write any code. I'm just going to show you a code base. So let's say we want to like go to our contact page, and inside our contact page, we want to use an API key. So what the system will do, it will not like grab that API key from there and paste it here. This means that you're exposing your API keys, you're putting your API keys inside the code base, and anyone on the internet can now view your API key and spam it and like use it for himself. Okay, we don't want to do that. What the system will do is it will call the name. Let me go back to my .env. It will call this name, which is OpenAI, which I renamed. You can rename it to anything. OpenAI API. You can like rename it to anything. I have a lot of names right here. What the system will do is it will copy the name and it will say in this place, I want you to use the OpenAI API key right here without exposing your API keys to the web. So now if someone is like scraping your website, he will only be able to view OpenAI.API key dot something, whatever you're renaming it to, not the actual API key. So let's talk about the .gitignore. Why do we have a .gitignore? So this basically means that we're telling GitHub that we don't want you to push these files inside our GitHub. So this is actually a standard name which GitHub uses, which is called .gitignore, and you can also see the icon. It is like a GitHub version control thingy. So if I open this folder, you'll be seeing a lot of files which we don't want to like push inside our GitHub, which we don't want to add in our production code base. So inside you can see we have .env local, and you can basically add any file which you don't want to add inside your code base whenever like you're pushing your code inside GitHub. So let me show you how I use it for myself and how you can also use it practically. So as you all know that I have a school community and like we do a lot of projects inside. If I go inside the designing module and let me go to a project, let's go to project 1, and here I have a GitHub link. Whenever I am making a project practically, what I usually do is I push it to GitHub and then I say to the members of my community that you can just go ahead and like click on this link and download it from there. The flexibility that I have there is if I want to make any changes to that software, I can easily do it from my Visual Studio Code. And the second thing is because I am using .ignore, .env, .example, my API keys are never being pushed inside that code base. So this was the first thing that most of the vibe coders are doing wrong. So let's say now you've made a beautiful website, but you cannot sit for 24 hours and monitor if the website went offline or if it has crashed, right? Nobody can do that. For that reason, we actually have a service which is called Uptime Robot. So this will actually monitor your website constantly and check if your website is down, if it is working completely fine. If not, then it will send you an email saying that your website is down or your website has crashed. So just go ahead and sign up to this website for completely free. Once you're signed in, this is the interface that you will be looking at. So right now I already have my agency website listed here. If I open this, it is being monitored for like 2 months or more, and it basically checks your website every 5 minutes if it's live, if it's working. So as you can see, in the last 24 hours, this is the result showed me, and my website was up 100% of the times. As you can see, we have a lot of green colors. Current status is up, and lastly it has checked like 3 minutes 23 seconds ago. And in your free plan, it will actually be checking every 5 minutes that if your website is live or not. So we have a report of last 30 days, last 7 days, and I don't have any incident in the last 30 days. So let me show you how you can add your website here. So let's go back and just click on this new button, and from here you'll just have to like add your website. So let's add a website. So this is a website mockup that I've made for a client. It looks very neat. So we will be adding this website. So let me just copy its URL, and let's go to our uptime monitor and just paste it over here. Let everything be on default. If you want to monitor it every 30 seconds, every 1 minute, you will have to pay for it. But my recommendation is to just like go with the free plan, which is 5 minutes, more than enough for you. Click on create monitor, and now your website has been added to your monitor list. So it will show you a report, and let's say your website goes down, it will then send you an email of whatever email you're using for your account. So right now I'm using this email. It will send me an email here. I'm saying that your website went down, your website is not active, etc. Take action quickly. So this is one of the most powerful things if you are working with clients. If you have a professional service website, you cannot afford to website. If it's your client's website, you're gonna like let your website be down. That will mean that you're basically using clients. And when you're maintaining websites for your client, this is a service that I like use for my clients. When I say to them that I will be maintaining your website, I will be securing, checking your website, doing all of the technical stuff. So this actually includes, and I want you to check this out and add this on your vibe coded application. So I've seen a lot of people creating chatbots, but they still use the same old thing, which is the system prompt. Of course, you need a system prompt to create an efficient and high quality chatbot. But let's say you're getting a chatbot for an e-commerce website. Let me give you a demo. So let's say, hi, this is a chatbot for a skincare website, which I created for a client. Hi there, how can I assist you today? Are you looking for something specific for your skincare routine? I'll not mention anything about my skincare or what I use on my skin right now. I'll just say I need something for night. Okay. And you will see that everything will be tailored to our skin. And say it's asking, that sounds great. Are you looking for a moisturizer, serum, or perhaps a mask for your nighttime routine? Let me know skin type or any specific concerns you have, and I can help you find the perfect product. Are you looking? Yeah, it could be moisturizer. Skin type. I recommend considering your skin type, specific concerns. Are you dealing with dryness? Yeah, dryness. So as you can see, we had more than 50 products, and it has pulled products from my inventory, and it's showing me the product. It's actually redirecting me to that page. So you cannot achieve this using a system prompt only. Let me actually show you how you can do that using embedding. So I will again go to my Visual Studio Code and show you my code base. Right now, as you can see, I have these products. So I basically asked Claude to like create a JSON for the Google Sheets, which had all of the products. So these were all of the products, and you can also understand this is the ID of product, this is the title, this is the name, this is the brand, this is the price, which is $16, category cleanser, like all of the things written in JSON. What I then did is I gave this to an embedding model, which then converted it to machine readable. So right now you're seeing like thousands and thousands of lines which humans cannot understand, but we don't want to make it understandable for humans right now. We want to make it understandable for AI, for a chatbot, which can quickly go inside the database and fetch that data and give it to our user. Let's say you have a Google Sheets right now, 200 products. You can do the same thing with those 200 products. You can say to your Claude, I want you to create me a JSON file, which then I will use to create embeddings. So to create embeddings, you will actually need to use a model which Google offers, which NVIDIA offers, which Microsoft offers, which Amazon has. So let me show you how you can do that. Let's search for embedding model. So this is basically a RAG product. If you have never made RAG, this is what a RAG is called. So the first that appeared on the list is Pinecone. I've used Pinecone. It is actually the best model out there. And then we have Replicate. Then we also have Olama. Then we have an API key from Google itself. Let's go to this website, and this is basically the model. So I'll just copy this as a markdown file. I'll copy all of this page, and let's open my Claude. And before that, let me just create a file named embedding.md. Let's paste what we've just copied, and let's mention that file embeddings.md. Let's say create an embedding for, this is the name of the JSON file. So I don't want to create embeddings for all of these. I will remove all of these and just like create embedding for just one product, so then I can like give you a demo. So let's hit enter, and now it will create embeddings for your one product, which will now be easy for the AI to read instantly. So if you're using a system prompt, you can basically not achieve the result of embedding 200 products. And let's say you've come up with a method in which like you can place 200 products inside your system prompt. That will basically cost you like hundreds of dollars. And whenever like someone chats with your chatbot, it will cost you like $2, $3, $4, $5. That's not token efficient. That's not a scalable product that you're building. So this is actually a professional way to build chatbots for whatever you want to build it for. So now, as you can see, it has made me these hundreds of lines of embeddings, which now the AI model can easily understand. So the next mistake that I've seen a lot of vibe coders make is they don't create a sitemap. So what actually is a sitemap? So basically a sitemap has all of the pages of your website. So if I go to my website, which is remotelyavailable.com, I type in slash and then sitemap.xml. Here you can see all of the pages that exist on my website. And if I do the same thing with someone else's website, let's search for gym website. Let's go to this website and let's do the same thing. Let's type in slash sitemap.xml. We will now be able to like view the same sitemap for this very website. So what this basically means is Google can come on your website and see all of the pages which exist on your website and basically read all of them and see that which one should be listed on Google. So I've seen a lot of vibe coders not following this method, which is like the main thing. If you're not visible on Google, that means no search engine can recommend you to anyone that this guy is doing like this person is giving this service. Okay. So now you've made your sitemap.xml, which you can like use Claude or Codex to create a sitemap for your website. Let's say you've created a sitemap for your website. Now just go to this website, which is called search.google.com/search console. Just paste in your URL. So let's say and then click on continue. You can basically like use the first option. That doesn't work for you, you can go with the second one. So the second one is like you have to download this. Let me open this, and you will have to like add this in the header of your website. So just give it to your Claude code and say that I want you to add this to the header of my website. So once Claude does that for you, just click on verify, and then your website will be added on Google Search Console. So this is actually how the interface will look. Now, because we want to let Google to crawl our website, what we will do is we will go on the left side and click on sitemaps, and then we will give our complete URL, which is like remotelyavailable.com/sitemap.xml. Just copy this and paste it here and just click on submit, and then Google will crawl your website and embed your pages on Google. So they will look something like this when they're embedded on Google. So these were the 5 steps. So this was it for this video. I hope you learned a lot from this video, and if you want to become an AI engineer and start building sellable products using AI, I've made a community which will take you from a beginner to a pro. If you don't know anything about web development, designing, marketing, I have taught everything inside my community. So if you're willing to learn, that's the first link in description. See you in the next one.